This is Dual Universe, a game that has been under development for quite a few years and has recently gone into beta. I've been granted access to the beta by the developers, and today I'm going to give you my first impressions of the game. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Dual Universe. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. While the developers have given me access to the game for free, of course they have not paid me to do this video, meaning I'm of course free to talk and say exactly what I want and what I think of the game. But first, let me get you up to speed in case you're not familiar with this game and hasn't been following it so far. As I said, it's currently in beta, and Dual Universe is a voxel-based space building game that allows you to build, well, pretty much anything you can imagine. Space stations, underground bases, houses, like hovercrafts, space rockets, space fighters, anything you can imagine pretty much. And anything you will see in this video, all buildings, all ships, can be built with the in-game tools. Some of them, of course, been built by the developers, and all the planets and moons you will see in the sky, you can go and visit those and carve them up for materials or build on them if you wish to. When you first start the game, there is about a 1 hour tutorial just to get the basics of the game. And as you can imagine, it is quite a complicated game. There's quite a bit to learn. After that, you're free to either go out and roam on your own and learn as you go, but there are also academies available that covers the major areas of the game, where it goes into a little bit more deep dive. That could be maybe building or mining or combat or anything like that. And it seems that each academy takes round about half an hour to go through, so you can kind of pick and choose the areas that you like. Now, while the game does revolve around building stuff, of course you will need materials to do so. And many of these materials can be manufactured yourself by mining raw materials that you can then go and use for build, or you can sell it on the market and then buy the stuff that you need from someone else who has built it and put it up for sale. And as you can progress through the game, you're going to be able to collect more and more resources. A lot of this can also be automated, as I'll show you later. A good example of the versatility of the game was I was flying around in this hovercraft that you get right at the start, and I was flying a little reckless and I managed to flip the thing over. I was unable to flip it back at the right side, so what I had to do was to get out of it, and then I took the hover engines that were located on either side of this little hovercraft and basically just flipped them over so that it would now work the other way. And then I get back at the aircraft, it was now flying upside down, but the hover engines, because they were flipped over, lifted the ship off the ground, and with a few violent maneuvers, I managed to then flip it back the right way, after which I could then go out, flip the hover engines back the right way, and my little hovercraft was once again ready to fly. So my overall impression is that the core mechanic of this game is quite good. The whole build-in mechanic is really good. The options are endless, and it's pretty much just your own imagination and skill level in the game that sets the limits for what you can do. It also has like some basic logic stuff that allows you to like connect buttons and different objects together, so if you press something somewhere, something else can happen elsewhere. And I know there's been people who are building like whole little like mazes, like escape room kind things almost in the game, so you can do quite complicated stuff. And the core mechanic, the mining part of it works quite well, and again the building side of it works quite well, and the whole core of the game is there. However, the game does show that it's still in a beta state. There are some of the telltale signs that you often see in beta releases of a game. Frame rates not being too good, especially when you move close to larger structures. As that large structure loads in, you get quite some nasty stutters and quite some nasty frame drops. But again, it only lasts for a few seconds until that structure is loaded in. It seems to perform quite well once everything is loaded, even though you have many different hand-built, like custom-built ships and structures and things around you. The game still runs relatively smoothly, runs quite well. It does have problems with loading things fast enough, it seems, because if you, for instance, I took my hovercraft out and I was traveling around one of the planets, and the terrain just wasn't loading in. Well, it was, but it was loading in behind me, so I've moved so far forward that by the time the terrain has loaded in, then I was already past that point. And the frame rate when you were close to the ground and traveling quite fast wasn't amazing either. Now, there's one thing about the game that's going to be quite a deal breaker for, I think, a lot of people, and that is the monetization model. Now, while I don't think there's any microtransactions, not that I've seen, the game is monetized through a subscription model. That means you have to pay every single month in order to keep access to the game. Currently here, during the beta, the prices are around €7 per month, or if you buy a full year, you get it for like, I think like 5.8, 5.9, just shy of €6. And I know a lot of people are not a huge fan of this monetization model, myself included. However, I can appreciate that by doing this, the developers does ensure that they have a steady income and they have an incentive to keep adding new stuff into the game, to keep people engaged, to keep people coming back to the game. They want to keep people playing, so they keep that subscription active and running. And one thing is for sure, the game does have a very dedicated following. I've been traveling around trying to look at some of the different structures people have built, and close to one of the main hubs, I was noticing someone trying to build what I think is a space elevator. The game works that you can claim areas of land, and that area is then yours, and nobody else can do any mining or build anything or destroy anything in that area when it's claimed by you, unless you give them access to do so. First thing I did when I saw the space elevator, of course, was I had to try and climb to the top, and after a few minutes of jumping through small teleporters, I eventually made it to the top, giving me a very good view of the planet below me, as well as some of the local moons. Now, you can't build a tall tower like this and not expect me to jump out and see if the game has fall damage or if you can recover from a high fall like this. And yes, you can. You have a small jetpack that you can use to soften the blow. I actually don't think there's any fall damage, but anyway. But while I was falling down from the space elevator, I noticed that the guy who was building this had a small factory next to it. That's not a small, it's actually a pretty huge factory. I went inside to take a look, and he had this whole little automated, like everything. I have no idea how it works, so I just assumed this was like some kind of automated manufacturing plant that was building materials to build the space elevator, basically. It was quite neat, and I tried to see if I could figure out like where the whole production line started and where it ended, but I gave up after a while. And I haven't spent enough time in the game to realize how that whole thing worked. So my overall impression of Dual Universe is potentially quite a fun game. I could definitely see this being entertaining, especially if you could play together with some friends and have a build project together, go out and collect materials and plan it all out and build something huge and monstrous, space stations, whatever you want. I could definitely see that being quite fun and quite entertaining. However, I'm not a huge fan of the subscription model and wish the developer has gone another direction there. But do let me know what you think of the game down in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.